Good afternoon viewers, and welcome to Children's BTV with your presenter for today, Brian the Bunny Rabbit, but you've all seen me enough on Bright Lunch to know that. Oh look, it's my friend Cedric the Duckling. What's that? Have you come to know what's going to be on this fine after-school afternoon? I will tell you exactly what we've got on. Yes indeed grown-ups. We'll be looking at multiple clips from such terrible rubbish that your infants might have been aware of when they were younger. And I mean terrible rubbish as a whole. On Kids Show Bloom, as you'll expect to see weird, noisy, absurd, and downright horrific clips from obscure programs such as this. And this.
Little purse had a till receipt and handbag found some hair rollers. Girl wouldn't want those.
And also, I hate to show you this. Please look away now if you're easily grossed out. Sorry about that, Cedric. Are you okay? You're not. I thought so. Now buzz off. And you grown-ups can grow up and buzz off if you don't like it. Nah, I'm kidding. Come here and sit back for some forgotten nostalgia that you easily won't forget the second time, on Brian's Kids Show Bloomers. First, we're looking at a certain pop group which you may or may not have forgotten. The All-Stars. They got their own sitcom during their early rise to fame thanks to Carlton Television. The ingredients for STARstreet include a lively and animated environment for our pop stars to live in, including a wacky fun house with a mind of its own. Pat Sharp not included. Music videos of their popular sellout hits of the time. Heavy usage of special effects, cheesy storylines, stereotypes, cheesy acting from the All-Stars, and humor that can either be for the most part cringe-worthy or just plain weird.
So do you have any pets?
Yeah, I've got a snake called Satan.
Oh boy, definitely not for me, but was alright for those kids over 10 and a lot of young teenagers who were obsessed with their pop idols back then. That was just a sign of the times more than anything, and a huge selling point for ITV that only lasted 2 years. Meanwhile, Steps were also huge in the charts at around the same time period and still going strong today. So popular on the telly in fact, that the BBC decided to commission 2 series of a new kids version of Opportunity Knocks and Pop Idol combined that they would host that went under the name of Steps to the Stars. 2 series, 2 winners. No matter how good the young acts really were, believe me, there's still a catch to all this.
Which of those 4 great acts got the most of your votes?
The winners of Heat 3 were Laurie, Kimberly and Laura.
What happened?
Now you see, the whole show in both series was spoilt by the end of it when the previous winner was announced. Why, you may ask? The winner's supposed reactions had already been pre-recorded in advance, before the whole program even aired from the start. That said, those phone numbers you're not allowed to call anymore these days are probably another reason the show was fixed.
And the winner is... It's Jim McKee there! Look at you!
Still, you've got to give Shane credit for his incredible line dancing on the program from Series 2. I wonder where he's at now? The plot thickens. Ever wondered why, in some cases, it's never a good idea to let a BBC Light Entertainment star create his own children's program? Well, I'll hand you over to my magician friend Bobby the Zebra, who will tell you more.
Thanks Brian. Now, I sometimes detest the way of looking back at classic children's TV and putting adult sleaze onto it. However, there are shows where there's no need to go flailing beneath the surface for hidden horror, because it's already on display. One of those is Paul Daniels' Wizbit. Launched on the BBC in January 1986, Wizbit was a co-production between Daniels and Mungo Jerry record producer Barry Murray. This blend of magic and music led to a very strange, off-kilter brew, best exemplified by the theme tune. Now that melody basically acts as the incantation to summon the Great Yellow Beast, if you ask me. Paul Daniels serves as our guide to Puzzleopolis, which proclaims itself to be the most magical town in the whole world. Visually somewhere between Constantinople and Sesame Street, it's home to Paul's Playhouse, Paul Daniels' own magic theater. Now, I will be honest, at the time of recording, I've been awake for 48 hours planning magic shows for next year, so you can imagine my dread when I saw this sequence in the first episode, Enter Wizbit.
In the beginning, there was magic in the world. There was the magic of day and night and winds and clouds, and the magic of birth and of life. And to the first beings who had crawled agonizingly out of the primeval mud, to crouching caves against the long nights of fear, everything was magic. There was white magic, and there was black magic. And there was darkness, thunder and lightning. That was in the beginning.
And that's also one of those scenes where I suspect Paul Daniels had a very specific idea of what was suitable for kids. Because what you've just heard is an altered quote from John Northern Hilliard's book, Greater Magic. Don't ask me how I know that. Although Paul Daniels may as well have been reading Aleister Crowley's spell book when he came up with the characters. First off, we have Woolly the giant rabbit, 8 feet high to be precise, who loves carrots. But his appetite can't save his costume from being really cheap. I suspect that's because they spent most of the budget on Wizbit, a wizard's hat from the planet of WoW, with gorgeous long eyelashes and holes on the edges of his eyes to stop the poor guy inside from suffocating. His year-and-a-day mission is to find out about the planet Earth, for an invasion, perhaps. Wizbit's costume was built by Rowley Workshops, the same people behind Dusty Bin, incidentally. What's interesting to note here is that there's a seal of Solomon, an occult symbol, on the side of his head. You know, for kids. Meanwhile, our bad guy, Professor Doom, lives in Castle Creek with his taxidermist puppet cat Jinx. Doom resembles a vaudevillian Bruce Forsyth, which makes me wonder if Barry Murray had originally intended for Brucey to play him. You have to admit, though, for a half-hour show, Wizbit has an enormous cast, demonstrated with this lengthy sequence.
And when they went through the door, this is what they saw. Spoof and Bluff, 2 characters that never really get along very well. Strange people as well populate Puzzleopolis. I'll explain those in a moment. Like this little fella down here. Now who's in this door? Piero!
But I suppose I can give Wizbit some credit, for it contains the weirdest scene ever seen. Get it? On kids' TV. What the heck am I watching? Aside from its arcane weirdness, the trippiest aspect of Wizbit is its visual style, which is very reminiscent of somebody editing an old wedding video. There's heavy use of split screen and picture-in-picture, simultaneously giving multiple angles or close-ups, or, at times, completely unconnected footage of weird puppets like the Squidgy Bog, who sounds very much like a Radio 1 disc jockey.
Yeah, the Bogman himself. Alright.
Drummer plays a funky beat, the guitars play loud, the horns are blowing right into the crowd. Dancing to the music, moving it all around. Shake your booty.
Yuck, this reeks like fellow kids. I don't think I can cover any more of this tripe. I need a bucket.
I know how you all felt about your infants watching too much Peppa Pig on their tablets. The skinny grim-faced badly drawn porker. But how would you feel looking back at a forgotten and short-lived BBC program starring some pigs running a cafe? Gosh, that American accent is just terrible.
Take those pizzas out of the oven.
Here's another load to shoving.
Pigsty makes the greatest snacks.
That's 'cause we don't ever relax.
I'd like one day out from this day.
That's the day that pigs will fly.
You can't touch this.
Can't touch this.
Yep, it's from that hip era of 1990. In fact, seeing this and the TV adaptation of Beatrix Potter's Little Pig Robinson at around the same year must have given me a phobia of ever seeing pigs on television again, in case they return to getting portrayed in a bad light.
Yes, what can I do for you?
What sandwiches do you have?
You name it. Are your eyes really that dark?
Yes. Can I have a lettuce and cheese, please?
Little Pig, you heard the lady.
Yes, sir. Lucky I got 4 pairs of trotters.
You've heard me right. This is an American cocktail cafe in London that is run by people in pig costumes with bad accents, with other human employees and customers. It just doesn't feel right. And matters aren't helped by the costumes of the pigs looking horrible and frightening at the same time, and in my view, the writing can also fall flat on its face with a forgettable theme tune to boot.
I'm off to do my homework. Now you get back to work. No slacking now.
There's a Chuckle Brothers reference they stole out of a lucky dip for the writers to use. May Barry and Mr. No Slacking rest in peace, but like, what audience is this Pigsty waste aimed at? Pigs with an actual telly? And continuing on with the theme of sinister characters, remember when I used to show you the Teddybears on TV burp, from CITV? Let's look at them again.
Oh, the sky just seems to be getting darker and darker.
Don't they look sweet? What you may not have remembered was what they originally used to look like on their first pilot series in 1998. They are scary.
I'm so hungry I could eat you!
My god, these bears are blooming hideous. Now if there's one thing you shouldn't have to do to make a cash in to Teletubbies for ITV, the costume makers shouldn't have cut extra holes on the bear faces for the actors to show their real moving mouths and eyes onto the characters.
Pancakes! You don't know what you'll be missing, Fred.
That'll give the young critters nightmares. Much worse than seeing Hellraiser or Freddy Krueger on a late night any day. They look like they're staring at you ready to stab somebody. This caused massive controversy to parents who reported Meridian Television and the newspapers back then, and while they were getting ready to produce the second series, they listened to all this and learned from their mistakes. So for the rest of the time that Teddybears were on TV entertaining young children, they looked much better with their proper teddy bear-like faces that can pretty much resemble a toy you once had as a child.
I love street markets.
You will join me after the break for some more similar nightmares, but before that, I bring to you a wildlife TV presenter's most wooden approach yet, for presenting and performing a song on a children's program for a satellite channel. Here's Anthea Turner's sister Wendy Turner-Webster, on You Do Too.
Pretend to be sunbeams going up like this to the top, and then coming out to the side. Wiggle your fingers. You ready to sing? Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun, send down your beams for everyone. Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun, keeps us warm and smiling all day long. Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun.
Welcome back to Children's BTV for Kids show Bloomers, where you get to see such weird and anarchic characters such as this guy.
And, oh, what's this? A great big pair of polka dot shorts!
How did they get there?
I haven't the foggiest idea.
And that guy. And, finally, this guy. Don't, ever, show, that, again. God. As you may have wondered, I too had the misfortune of seeing Wizbit with Bobby too, and I discovered a bit of irony from one episode we saw together that he had completely forgotten about. Feast your eyes on this for a bit.
My heat should burn you up to nothing.
Confused? Hang on a minute. Can you hear something?
Torchy the Battery Boy, I'm a walkie-talkie toy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the nightmare of every Gerry Anderson fan, that is, Torchy the Battery Boy. For God's sake, stop it. Thank you. Produced as Anderson's second collaboration with children's author Roberta Lee, it follows the adventures of the eponymous character who has a battery inside him and a lamp on his head. Sounds innocent, right? Well, just wait till you see what he looks like. Man, what was Roberta Lee on when she thought of this character? He's only a knife away from Chucky. And that's not to say anything less about his master and creator Mr. Bumbledrop, aka the prototype. I probably won't be allowed to say that one again. Anyways, if you've watched the Gerry Anderson YouTube channel's primer on Torchy the Battery Boy, you may remember that Chris Dale says it begins with a small boy humping a fence.
Mr. Bumbledrop lived in a little house with a large garden.
It's good to see they haven't edited that bit out yet. The episode continues in a rather slow manner, until, accompanied by the Century 21 cymbal crash, a big gust of wind blows all the toys away. And there goes the show's only likable character.
Good gracious.
Now him just saying that further proves my point. Despite his constantly smiling face, Mr. Bumbledrop becomes disappointed that the children will no longer come to play in his garden. Rather than report this odd occurrence to the authorities, who are presumably more than familiar with him already, Mr. Bumbledrop takes matters into his own hands.
I wish I had a little boy of me own who would help me. Oh, I've a wonderful idea.
Here it comes.
I'll make a toy boy.
The least wonderful idea in the history of wonderful ideas. And thus, Torchy the Battery Boy is born.
Well, I never. My toy is coming to life.
Hello, dear old Bumbledrop. I'm so glad you made me.
And I'm so glad you're alive.
I'm not. With the help of the magic beam in his light, Torchy manages to locate the lost toys on a twinkling star known as Topsy-Turvy Land. But how do we get them back?
Why don't you build me a rocket ship? Then I can fly there.
What a splendiferous idea. I'll set to work in the morning.
So let me get this straight. Mr. Bumbledrop's going to achieve in one night what it probably takes NASA several years of design and research to accomplish? Logic, people, logic. Nevertheless, Torchy flies his rocket to Topsy-Turvy Land, only to find that its magical properties have brought the toys to life and allowed Pom-Pom to speak. Since none of the toys want to leave Topsy-Turvy Land, they decide to stay there for good. This sets up a series of 51 more adventures that Torchy has along with Flopsy the Rag Doll, who once auditioned for the logo of a children's production company, but didn't quite make it. Pillywig the Clown, who, let's face it, looks like a Cyberman from the Doctor Who adventure The 10th Planet, Squish the Space Boy, who seems to have been added to cater to the American audience, and we'd best cut away quickly. Thank you. I will say this however, despite its sinisterness, without Torchy the Battery Boy, we wouldn't have had Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Stingray, Joe 90, or even Terrorhawks, so we can at least be thankful for small mercies. As we know already, when CBeebies launched in February 2002, in addition to already existing CBeebies favorites such as the Tweenies, Teletubbies, Fireman Sam, and Postman Pat, there were many original programs produced in-house by the BBC and third parties as well. Two of these programs that we remember very well are The Story Makers and Bits and Bobs. They both involve two pairs of puppets and heavily rely on live action, but what gives out for those shows? Well, what about when you first put them on? Wow, this looks off. We see a poorly rendered girl on an orange space hopper with the show's logo hopping around this strange world covered in green books with a purple star on the cover. Can anyone ask me what's going on or how this has got anything to do with the show? Yeah, the theme tune is good and memorable, like with the show itself, but they both don't do justice to how poor CGI is in the intro sequence. Low budget strikes the BBC, doesn't it? And as for Bits and Bobs, well, what do you think? Let's ask Trug.
Trug was made to be a toy, packed in a box for a girl.
Dang it, it's blocked. Well, there's only one thing to do now, show it off as a slideshow. Yep, the same horrible animation lurks here as well. So, this sequence tells the tale of how Trug was created and how he found the titular characters, complete with Scottish children singing, which, sadly, is quite bland. The theme tune is fine though, so there is nothing wrong with that. The only good things about this one are that the renders for Trug and the titular Bits and Bobs are fine. The rest, throw them away as rejects. Although the intros have some minor flaws, the shows themselves still bring back great CBeebies memories. What else is there? Ahahaha, let's look at this show. Okay. The same bad animation lurks here. But who am I to judge? The other two shows were fine despite the poorly animated openings. Now, here comes Zingalong itself. Of course, what is it like? What? There. Heck, what on earth is this? Seriously, I'll say it again. What on earth is this? The presenters singing, give me a break. I would rather listen to a trash can cymbal band than listen to her dull and uninterested singing voice. So yes, this show was Zingalong, produced by BBC Scotland. The show is presented by Marie-Claire McManus, who resides at a nursery somewhere in Scotland with a couple of young kids. Then, when the CGI animated Zing rolls by, they start to make a song based on whatever they see, like a bus, or a slide in a park, or something else. Then near the end of every episode, you get to hear the lifeless singing coming from Marie-Claire. Basically, in a nutshell, this is every episode of Vertical Bar and Galong summoned up right there. 15 minutes worth of formulaic and repetitive non-existent plots, complete with a presenter who is as bland and lifeless as the kids on the show. All of this brings together a CBeebies show that has since been forgotten about and is nowadays thrown into the vaults of the lost media archives, or maybe somewhere in the BBC archives, who knows. Next up, we have two comedic double acts from the forgotten world of CITV in the 90s which I'm not sure some of you are familiar with. but let me refresh your brain with showing you one of them. Snug and Cozi was a successful short-lived series that features the two titular bumbling aliens played by actors, who crash land their UFO in the middle of nowhere where they meet young Emily, who lets them secretly stay in her allotment. They both spoke gobbledygook and have many hilarious escapades. It was best described as Laurel and Hardy in space suits by the series actor, producer and creator, Richard Vobes. The program was a very special one-hit wonder for CITV, produced by Scottish Television, which ran for 2 years, despite a lot of personal production troubles from Vobes himself. Light changes were made sometimes in the scripts, and the editing and directing does seem pretty questionable in some parts of a few episodes. However, in 1998, after the series ended the previous year, some bright spark at Carlton Television decided to get away with copying the same thing to replace it with 2 other comic actors, called
Magee and Mooney, Mooney and Magee.
Comparing this particular show to Snug and Cozi makes that become an original masterpiece in the making. This, on the other hand, seems more like a poor man's version of Chucklevision on ITV, and it shows. We see Mooney and Magee, 2 handymen in fitting colourful outfits, try their hand at whatever jobs they find with somewhat questionable and quote-unquote hilarious results. A hit in the groin with a broom. That's quality kids comedy, isn't it? The directing and editing is even more strange, the execution is mostly bland, and the way both of the main characters speak in mumbling voices can be a little irritating for some people. Here's a little bit of the ice cream van episode. Even the cameraman's on drugs, just like 2 of Britain's Got Talent's failed acts. And again, I dedicate this to Vobes. He thought this replacement was awful. My apologies to Carl Magee and Steve Mooney wherever they may be nowadays. I've never met them in person. They'll probably turn me into a 3rd main character in a workman's suit called Reggie the Bunny, who would be just as annoying as Jar Jar Binks and Scrappy Doo put in a blender in the 3rd series.
With a very squeaky high voice like this. Oh no, I've broken my voice. Help. Go away, Cedric, even you can't help being annoying. I'll be back after the break once my voice is fixed, but here's another clip from a show on what was meant to be just a cartoon channel. But it's a cheap live-action karaoke game show where kids can't sing.
But don't worry, because we'll be back next time with more guns, more songs, more mystery guests.
Join us next time. See ya! Gotcha!
Welcome back to Children's BTV for Kids show Bloomers, where in this 3rd act, it's all about cartoons. They say adults are too old for cartoons now. Well, scratch that. There's always The Simpsons and South Park just for you lot, along with the other shows you originally grew up with, but let's sit back and look at a few cheesy ones that may have been the definition of your infant's attention spans at one point in their lives. One thing we all know about the animation industry is that anything goes. You have cartoons ranging in all sorts of different types and concepts. However, one of the types I would say are pretty terrible are celebrity cartoons. mainly for the fact they feel like commercials for the person they are starring. Sure, we have the occasional hidden gems like Sony's Jackie Chan Adventures and Warner Brothers' Mike Tyson Mysteries, but then comes our friends at Deke Entertainment, who in 1991 during their heyday, brought along no less but 3 celebrity cartoons, Wish Kid, Pro Stars, and Zeus may forgive me when I say this title, Hammerman. Wish Kid starred then child star Macaulay Culkin portraying an animated version of himself, named Nicholas McCleary. Nick owns a baseball glove that one day, a magic star falls onto it, and then he is allowed to wish once a week for anything he wants. Pro Stars starred sports stars Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky and Bo Jackson as superhero characters who saved the world using the power of sports and shoehorned environmental messages. Hammerman starred MC Hammer as a fictional superhero. Yeah, I don't think anyone is crazy to think this concept up. All 3 shows suffer from low quality animation as this was produced during Deke's heyday when they mostly went with limited outsourcing studios like Pacific Rim or Young, but easily, the worst of them all has to be Hammerman. The outsourcing quality is so cheap that you would be thinking that it was done by a mockbuster company like Dingo Pictures. Overall, all 3 of these shows only lasted 13 episodes and were all cancelled afterwards. For the former 2 it was because NBC, their broadcaster, ended their Saturday morning cartoon block. As for Hammerman, well, I'm not surprised why ABC cancelled it. It was one of the reasons why MC Hammer's popularity went down and down. This show is one of the few Deke productions not released on DVD or digital download, not that it's much of a problem anyway. Yo, as if mate, grow up. Oh, don't threat, I haven't forgotten about this show either. We go back to 2001 with Mary-Kate and Ashley in action on ABC, starring the Olsen twins as their animated counterparts Misty and Amber, as they go on secret agent missions and foiled the schemes of villains such as René LaRouge, Capital D and Romy Bates. But still, in the end, this show was also cancelled, but no surprise there. This concept was fine enough on paper, but it just falls flat on its face because it had to be a celebrity cartoon. Over here in the UK, it aired on Nickelodeon and CITV, who already aired enough Olsen twins stuff to begin with, especially the former. And there you go, the depths of Deke's celebrity cartoons. None are really worth watching, but they're good for a nostalgia trip if you did watch them when you were a young bunny rabbit, I mean, child. Now this next cartoon, while not being terrible by all means, has always remained to be a complete mystery. Take a look at this. Chris is a young girl apparently, it's not just a boy's name you know. Who else have we got? Watch it mate, you've been on the bubbly again, that's for sure. Chris and Crumble, eh? Weird couple. Oh my goodness me. Look at the long eyelashes on her, she's a cheeky little mophead is our Crumble. Oh, and she's mopped off. This bunch of lively and unusual characters have always remained to become nothing but a mystery for some people, and considering we've only got ourselves the main titles of the cartoon and not the rest, you know what I'm on about here. All that remains is just some Radio Times episode descriptions I have from the magazine, like, Chris discovers that she need never use a vacuum cleaner again. Why? Because she prefers using her little mop friend to clean the dog wee off the kitchen floor. Chris takes Crumble and the babies to a jumble sale. I didn't know a mop can become pregnant and have babies. Cartoon logic folks. But wait, here's a more intriguing synopsis I have. What is the strange thing under Chris' bed? I don't know. Come to think of it, I know Chris is all grown up and has a job. But whatever happens to Crumble after all those years? That's what I want to know.
What do you think of my new wig, Brian?
Dusty the cat, you're wearing what once was an anthropomorphic walking talking mop, and you've got yourself dusty again just by wearing it.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought it looked like a nice wig for when I'm in my next pantomime. I got it off a guy called Chris who flogged it on eBay.
Oh, more to the point, I say all those things, 'cause it also once had a face.
My wig. Come back, you old thing.
The evolution of computer graphics in video games, films and television has been pretty extraordinary over the past few decades. You know how well made Pixar's early short films Toy Story and the popular PlayStation games were made and have still stood out today. These powerful new forms of 3D in the media have also influenced future cartoons, commercials and main titles for other TV programs. But all that may not stand out from the rest. There have been a few great CGI cartoons over the years like Reboot Jimmy Neutron and a few hundreds of Transformers series, but here are some contenders for what I should give one of them an award for most tacky CGI in the UK. First, gross out humor and cheesy sci-fi capers with the butt-ugly Martians.
Hey look! It's that alien hunter weirdo from the internet.
You can spot an alien by these easily recognizable traits. They have an insatiable appetite for junk food. They love to take over your couch. All aliens make disgusting digestive noises.
Fwah. Underground Ernie's been on the jiggery fizzy pop again. And saving it best to last, the winner for most tacky computer animation goes to Mechanic from Channel 5. You thought today's version of Fireman Sam outraged you? Some very ugly and twisted animation that's worse than that is to be seen for your eyes only, right now.
Look! I'll call PC Perkins. Austin, get out of the way. This is an emergency.
There'll be a traffic jam.
There already is.
See how one person clips through the other. I also think these characters should have been in a horror movie next to the Teddybears, within an alternate universe. But then again, like many of those still made today, it will still suck. But nothing, and I mean, nothing, beats one obscure Christmas special that we never got on Cartoon Network, called Rap City Street Kids. All I can say to describe it is, imagine you're seeing the Dire Straits Money for Nothing video on MTV right now, only the two people shifting the washing machines and turning on microwaves come falling apart and everything completely crashes to the ground, making a static image on your screen. I'll say no more. I'm out. It's not common for animation companies to come up with several gross-out tactic shows. Cine Group and Sony Wonder had the Mega Babies. Deke Entertainment had Super Duper Sumos.
I'm ready and so's my butt.
BKN International had the Dork Hunters. Nelvana had The Day My Butt Went Psycho.
The incredibly true tale of a boy and his butt. I've always got your back, pal.
And the list goes on. Then, the king of all gross-out shows, comes from the depths of impossible television and sparky animation, and it's the infamous CBeebies CGI series Fleabag Monkeyface, based on a book series of the same name. In every episode of this horrific CGI trash I had to watch 2 episodes of, thank the Lord, 2 kids named Gene and Gerald along with their friend Chris Packet Banana Guy, whom they invented by putting weird mushy stuff from the cat litter tray and what have you into the toilet. Ingenious storytelling since Frankenstein, not. The terrible threesome try to conjure up many kinds of gross-out TV programs with no explanation on how they technically got themselves onto the networks without a budget anyway. And Ratbag's voice is really freaking annoying, as is his whole disturbing personality. Makes you want to peel your face off. Meanwhile, our main villain, Peter Griffin with his parrot sidekick both try to stop whatever plots the terrible threesome get up to for their gross-out network. Honestly, everything about this is just awful, forgettable, and butt ugly, like Butt Ugly Martians 2.0. You see it for 5 seconds and then you switch to something more relaxing on CBeebies. If not worse. Our heroes then meet up with these stereotypical brats.
Oh no! It's the Smugglies!
Steady does it. And... fire!
He zaps whatever the threesome have with them, and it somehow grows bigger and bigger until it ends up invading the city. So with the aid of waste disposals, flying fart power and bad breath, everything goes back to normal. In fact, this cartoon exploits all cliches and tropes like this with the same repetitive and tiresome formula, every time. I'm already getting a refreshment in my brain just from seeing this alone. Parents, this is what stupid kids watch. Period. And at the end of every episode, our forgettable main villain's plans are foiled, and whilst getting stuck in somewhat unfunny antics in his lair, he shouts the most undeveloped cry of,
I want my TV show back!
Hardy ha ha ha. As you can tell, I did not laugh once. Not twice. Not 3 times a gunging, over this really badly written, stupid, disgusting, flipping, unfunny, apple bobbing, banana peeling, nose bleeding, low IQ inducing, 4-year-old pandering, ear torturing, ugly looking, nappy leaking, quality decreasing, rip-off cabining garbage. Out of all the tripe I've covered in this show, I've been paid to watch these and review them on the telly so you don't have to. All in all, sick bag punky what's it stinks. Don't watch it. It deserves to go down the toilet. What an absolute load of bullshit.
Sorry about that. Brian's had to sit on a naughty chair off camera since he nearly uttered a swear in the broom cupboard, so I will take over and read this next part of his script. Ahem. It's time to have a break once more, but let's watch one more cartoon before your bathroom break awaits, with a little side note. Don't you hate it when you see something exciting that you'd think would be better after the theme music is finished, only for it to leave you with disappointment with what it actually comes up with? This is a brief example of exactly that. Enjoy.
Once upon a time, the Princess Galaxina had a garden. In it was a tree with magic fruit. But the evil Emperor, Gargan, blew with his icy breath, turning summer into winter and scattering the magic fruits to the furthest corners of the universe.
To bring summer back to Princess Galaxina's garden, we have to help her find 5 lustrous ladybirds. One,
2,
3,
4.
Five. Search will continue.
Welcome back to Children's BTV for the final part of Kids Show Bloomers, where you would least expect to hear such cheesy one-liners from lesser-known programs such as...
Hey, you know what? I can really feel the energy! Whoa!
and...
Wel, tydi hi ddim am ben blwydd arna I, medde'r tractor mawr gwyn. A dwi'n na di gael o, medde Twm Trailer.
Do, medde Peter y planwr. Falle ma'n rho I di chwythu'r canwylla heddiw ta, medde Rolly y roller.
And also...
Wave your arms and count to 3. Blow the magic through the tree. 1, 2, 3. Wow! Ooh, I suddenly feel like pecking some chicken food.
Ouch. Some folks say that children can't be good actors on television, but we'll get to that part later. Now though, here's a little bit of international kids TV from Australia. Some of you thought bananas in pajamas was weird, but hey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Nice kangaroos. That's more of what you get in Australia.
Did you see the kangaroo?
What is that thing?
They have tiny front paws and big back legs. And they use their back legs to go boing, boing, bounce, bounce, hop, hop. Oh, look, I'm a kangaroo. Boing, boing.
Alright, we get it now, and you're trying to give me both the self-annoyance and the heebie-jeebies at the exact same time. That was a clip from a program called Mulligrubs which we in Britain know absolutely nothing about, apart from that creepy-looking face surrounding the whole flipping screen that would just give Lady Cassandra from that episode of Doctor Who a run for her money. And I prefer not to face or even speak to any of those bodiless people. In fact, one of our researchers told me that the Mulligrubs face lady is now in a ukulele playing group. As if she has no body to play with. And if you and I thought that too was bonkers enough, we looked at cartoons in the previous part. Well, there's also this futuristic plasticine animation called Plasmo, which is pretty well detailed and very well made, but something about one of the characters looks like something else.
Hello, my name is Plasmo.
Oh, bully for you.
And this is Pigsty and Nick.
I mean, how should I even explain this to a general post-watershed audience? Not forgetting, the terrifying E.G. from Ozzy anthology series, Lift Off. Someone should give him a horror movie, even if it would still suck at the box office anyway. As for French television on the other hand, while they too churned out some of the best cartoons, France also brought to us another puppet show that was most bizarre to us when it aired on former British satellite channel, TCC during the 1980s.
Here's our TV show, Telecat. Here's our TV show, Telecat.
Hi kids, today, Wednesday the 5th, is Sugar Lump Day. Congratulations all Sugar Lumps. Oh, how silly, I can't seem to find them. I was sure I had them on me somewhere.
Congratulations, Sugar Lumps.
Okay. I say it's most bizarre to us, because a lot of it apart from the presenting side from the titular Telecat on the box itself, either makes no sense at all, or is just plain blooming weird. It's just one of those shows that one of you growing up in the 80s might have discussed to someone about in public, describing what you'd seen and what it was about, and that friend of yours would swear to you believing that you were making it all up entirely. A large and professionally performed puppet cat in a suit with his ostrich co-presenter present a satirical take on the kind of television news that parents would be watching, but with a twist that some kids would get into, sort of.
Let's have a commercial break.
Spiffy window cleaner makes the glass look greener. I suppose you think that's funny, Pluggo?
I mean, how in the world would I get that kind of humor? It's weird, it's out of the norm, and it probably makes something we've covered before like Wizbit become a masterpiece. Give me a coat and scarf while you're at it before I freeze to death after that grim sighting. And like Wizbit, you get to meet an endless cast of crazy and drugged up characters that you'd think you had dreamt up in a psychedelic universe.
Right, since I can't seem to lay my hands on that sugar, I'll ask Madam Spectacles.
Hello, what was that?
I want Madam Spectacles.
On the line.
Madam Spectacles, could you come up to the studio for a moment?
Oh dear, she reminds me of a horrid witch.
But she knows a lot.
You can say that again. Gee whiz.
Sorry to trouble you, Madam Spectacles, but have you by any chance seen 2 lumps of sugar?
Yes.
You left them in Mr. Whisker's office.
Oh, silly me. I went to look in the archives before the show.
I swear I had dreamt that up after an incident I had when I got drunk and then had to change my shoes somewhere nearby the pub. My shoes flew away. There was also this garden rake with a face or something, but the rest is just a little too complicating to explain further. Bear in mind this was co-created by the late French surreal artist, Roland Topper. I guess that explains some of the trippiness we've encountered here. I'll give him credit for that. Also, Telecat's voice definitely sounds familiar to me. Where have I heard that before?
Now, if I transpose every letter with the letter 2 letters on and rotate on a circular alphabet by the elevation of the pole star, it says Gul for Snip, Deb, Kingarook.
In case you missed it during the winter of '97, which I'm glad you have, do you recall this one Saturday morning show that didn't last very long that was presented by a live cartoon dragon of all things, who at times would have his voice actor nearly fluff up his lines at any moment?
Hey, I tell you what, that Dastardly Butler, it gets me really fired up, it does, really. Whoa! Hey! Oh, sorry about that, everyone. Sorry about that. But don't forget, I'm available for barbecues, and on the subject of barbecues, can I just remind all safety-conscious dads out there, never cook sausages at a nudist beach.
And did you also know that it was one of the first telly shows to feature this beautiful lady? Before she came to fame.
Claudia! Hello! Claudia! Way! Wow, looks mad! It's going mad!
Wow!
Hello,
Hiya, Tricky! Yeah.
Hiya! Listen,
Hello.
Claudia, how are you enjoying working for me? I know it's your big break and that, and obviously better than working with Philip Schofield, yeah?
No, it's not actually. Yeah, thanks. Never mind.
Awkward. Well, do any of you remember? Of course you don't. And now for something completely different, while I'm stuck here in this bleeding broom cupboard. John Major's ex-daughter-in-law Emma Noble asks viewers what popular song she's singing in the bath, to win a leisure holiday.
It's from Richard Blagden from Doncaster. He's 12 years old today. Wow. And a big fan of the show. Happy 12th, Richard. This one's for you.
Yeah. Like that was such a good idea to have this on a Saturday morning youth program. The next thing I would have seen from this would have been Terry Wogan in sumo pants fighting Mr. Blobby. Like that's going to let me win a trip to Butlins. Honestly, the whole show outside of a few celebrity guests dropping by for their paychecks to be written off is just a cheap and nasty disaster, from start to finish, and was another winter replacement for the already successful Scratchy & Co at the time. The ironic thing about this cartoon dragon called Tricky was that he later became the star of another satellite cartoon channel called Pop, which some of you may remember and is still around today. However, Tricky had since then changed his name to Rory and had a different voice. Other examples of lackluster Saturday morning entertainment include, It's Not Just Saturday, simply a young teen's copy of The Word which I can criticize for having such a terrible set design.
Write to us at Shed 7 Competition. It's Not Just Saturday, P.O. Box 2, Glasgow, D2 3PQ, and
Even she can't remember the name of the show she's actually presenting. Classic. Wow, a very short-lived program that was notable for two things. One of the first ever TV appearances from the Spice Girls in the first episode, one of them accidentally swore at one point not knowing it's a kids show, and next week's episode had to be filmed outside the Maidstone Studios car parks because of a power cut, as well as all the money ITV had spent getting Formula 1 on the network. Then there was, It's Wicked, on the BBC before going live hit the airwaves, that had this show within a show format with hip and average presenters that we don't know going round the country. It had pre-recorded sketches, cartoons and other things that were just, well...
Hi there, Sandra. You're looking dead sweaty.
dog ends. Telegantic Megavision, a weird mouthful of a behind-the-scenes show featuring Otis the Aardvark's puppeteer and Emily, situated at a fictional Warner Brothers movie lot, which, dare I say because of what it's like, it's not exactly as good as the more successful What's Up Doc beforehand. I've also recently remembered in another edition of the zany and wacky Dick and Dom in the Bungalow, Dom was wearing a very strange shirt indeed. Where exactly did he get that from? The Adam and Eve store. Very inappropriate to wear in a kids show. Peter Simon did Double Dare and later went on Bid TV, but he also presented a show about star pets on the BBC. It's a simple format, talented animals are nice to see sometimes, but I can definitely see some of the setup of the show itself and the theme tune in particular to be very cheesy. Thank God Esther Rantzen wasn't there hiding away from this while doing another show at the same time. And finally, we move on to another controversial program that infamously shook the headlines from yesteryear. Just what in the world were Channel 4 thinking of during the time they first came to our screens in the early 80s, when they gave the British public this? Jimmy Cricket, I feel like I've ended up living in the jaws of hell here. This is what happens when you saw this back then, and still even now, it hits you in the same way as a spike in the chest, or any kind of physical pain. This whole show is just a biblical amount of rubbishness in all corners, and all that makeup. How much money did they spend letting these children from a poor orphanage have all that on, while making our ears bleed and producing this tripe? They always look slightly off camera as if they've been threatened. Not to mention all those contracts from the pop singers and groups of the time who had signed up for their adult contemporary songs to be featured, which often have some references to adult content. Bear in mind, this is still quite frightening, hence why the show was cancelled after one series. Obviously, they would never make a reboot of Minipops now, because it's mostly just Stormzy, Taylor Swift, Drake and all that kind of thing, and not all of it has enough clean lyrics if you know what I mean. Oh wait, a new version of Minipops already exists as the dreaded Kids Bop. God help me. I can honestly and clearly reveal to you, that Minipops, and Fleabag Monkeyface, are just the two absolute worst British children's programs I have ever seen, in all of my...
Oh well, life isn't always perfect. Join us at the same time next week on Children's BTV for more of the most terrible programs, and until then, from all of us here in the broom cupboard, it's time to say goodbye, and God bless.
How did he get in there? Simple. It's magic.